Alright, so next step, we're going to be learning about two-step equations. Okay, yesterday we did one step, and now we're going to be doing two-step equations. Two big things with solving two-step equations. The first one, you need to undo the addition or subtraction to remove the constant term. Okay, you'll see what we talk about that when we get to the example. You'll understand what I'm saying. But just remember, I either add or subtract first. And then the next step is to undo multiplication or division to remove the coefficient. Okay, hopefully you know what the word coefficient means. Hopefully you know what the word constant means. The constant term is, the coefficient is always the thing in front of the variable. So if I have 3x, my coefficient is that 3. So we're going to do multiplication or division to remove that coefficient when we add or subtract to remove the constant term. So first example, we have, and please make sure you're writing this down, okay? When I say look back in your examples, because the example that you're doing or the problem you're working on is just like this. If you don't have this in your notebook, then I can't tell you to go back in your notebook and look at your examples because you don't have them. This does you no good, okay? This is me teaching you. Eventually you're going to be seeing this at home, so this is me teaching you to do this now. The example you have is 6x plus 8 equal to 50, okay? I have two steps. So I'm going to write step 1 and then step 2. I want you to do that as well. The first step, if you remember the previous slide, you just wrote it down, says undo addition or subtraction of the constant term. The constant term here is 8. Okay? That thing is there. We're going to add or subtract. So we got to look at what's the sign in front. Our sign in front is a positive. Yesterday we talked about inverse doing the opposite. The opposite of that positive is negative. So what we do on one side of that equal sign, which is right here, we're going to do on the other. This is just like solving one-step equations. So we subtract 8 from both sides. Okay? When we do that, if 8 minus 8 is 0, we can cancel that out. If it doesn't equal 0, we've done something wrong and we need to go back and check our math. That goes back to the integer work that we've been doing on the number line. 8 minus 8 is 0. 50 minus 8 is 42. So I bring down that 42. I bring down what's left over here. Okay, 8 minus 8, that goes away, but I'm still left with this 6x. So we got to bring it down. And when we got 6x equal to 42, the next step that you wrote down on that previous slide, step 2 was to undo the multiplication or the division to remove the coefficient. 6 is my coefficient. It is next to the x, my variable, which I'm solving for, and that operation is multiplication. The opposite of that, the inverse of multiplication, is division. So I'm going to draw my division bars here, and I'm going to divide by 6 on both sides. When I divide 6 by 6, that is 1. I want one variable. I want one x equal to 42 divided by 6, which is 7. So my answer here is x equals 7. Okay? That's solving a two-step. I want you to show step 1 and step 2 for me so I can see your work. Okay? We're not doing this in our head. I need you to see you write it out. That way you don't make silly mistakes. Example number 2. We have 2x minus 5 equal to 11. Okay, that's our problem that we're going to work with. First step, we look at our coefficient. It's over here. We have minus 5, so we got to look at the minus. Opposite of minus is a plus, so we're going to add 5 to both sides because we want this part to go away. We want to move it over here so we can get our variable by itself. So we're going to add 5 by doing the opposite. Okay, when that happens, we should get 0. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. 11 plus 5 is 16. That's all step 1, just adding. Remember, we add or subtract in step 1. Step 2, we're going to multiply or divide to remove this coefficient. So we bring down that 2, the 2x, and we're going to divide by that 2 because it's in front of our variable, which means it's the coefficient. So we divide because two things beside each other is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we show our division bars here. We divide by that 2 because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we have 1x, the x drops down. 16 divided by 2 is 8. There's a procedure that I want you to follow. This is that procedure to show that you have solved for x correctly. All right, so that's example number 2. Those are both using division at the very end. Okay. This example we have here is x divided by 4 plus 8 equal to 10. So now we have x divided by 4. That's a fraction. So we got to go back to when we did those problems yesterday. And we multiplied by the denominator. First step, we look at those, the constant term. The constant term here is 8. We need to get rid of that by doing addition or subtraction. So we're going to do the opposite of the addition that's already here by subtracting it. So we subtract 8 from both sides. When we do this, 8 minus 8 is 0, which is good, that's what we want. 10 minus 8 is 2, so 10 minus 8 is 2. And then we bring down this whole thing, x divided by 4, we're going to bring it down. Step 2, we either have to multiply or divide. This time we're going to multiply because it's already being divided. X is already being divided, so we're going to multiply because that's the inverse. 4 times that 1/4 is 1. Remember talking about yesterday when we multiply across, everything turns out to be 1. So we're left with that 1x, and what we do on one side, we have to do to the other. 2 times 4 is going to give me an 8. So my answer is x equal to 8. That's solving it using multiplication when we're given a fraction. Okay. And then our last example here is one that you should get familiar with. We always tend to make a mistake with this one. That's why I saved it from last, so we can fix it. 2 minus x equal to 6. That's the example you're given. So step 1 doesn't change. We look at the sign in front. Remember the notes from yesterday? You always look at the sign in front of that number. We don't look behind, we look in front. In front of this 2 is nothing, so it's understood to be positive. So we need to take it away. The opposite of positive is negative. We're going to take it away. So we got 2 minus 2. What I do on one side, I must do to the other. So 2 minus 2 is 0. And then behind it is a minus x. This whole thing comes down. I want everybody to make sure they circle it and then bring it down. Okay, I want to see that step right there. What we did on one side, we did to the other to get 4, so we bring this whole thing down. So we're left with that negative x equal to 4. We don't want negative x, we want to solve for regular x, positive x. So it's understood, remember that that's just one x. So I'm going to divide by that negative 1. Okay, it's not written there, but you need to know that there is a negative 1 in front of that x, because it's just one x. So we divide by negative 1 on both sides to get rid of the negatives, so now my negatives can go away, and I'm left with negative or positive 4 divided by negative 1. My signs are different. Okay, if you look at the signs there, they are different, so that gives me an x equal to negative 4. Okay, that's one that will tend to get you if you don't pay attention to this sign at the very beginning, and you want to add 2 to both sides. 2 plus 2 is 4. That's not 0. So sometimes it can mess you up if you don't pay attention to the sign in front. Alright, so that's using division again to solve at the very end. So, those are your examples that you can look back to when doing your practice problems, because now I need you to do these 4. You have 4 problems that I want you to do. I need to see all your steps. So for each one of these, show me step 1, tell me what it is, and then show me step 2. And I need to see each one specifically, that way I know you know what's going on. We tend to make careless mistakes because I know I got it, and this is easy, I know, I did this in middle school. But when you're making silly mistakes on a quiz or a test, and I have to count points off, that's when it's going to hurt you. So I want to see you break it down for me step by step, that way we don't make those silly mistakes again. Alright, so do those 4 problems right now for me, and take care of that.